Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. This is the Brittany React Show. And on this show we talk all things movie news. We do have some movie news to go over, like we're going to go over the Golden Globes. We're going to go over, yes, Tom and Zendaya's, they just recently got engaged, so we're going to talk about that. And a few other like minor movie news, like some box office news as well. But at the very end, I am going to go over my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. So make sure you stick around all the way to the end of the stream if you want to see that. I hope you all had a great Happy New Year. Thank you all for being here, of course. I always appreciate you guys showing up every week. How are you guys doing? Hi, Will French. Hi, Andy. Hi, Alexander. Hi, Lavenderia or Lavenderina. Hi, DeBoy. Hi, Vincent. Hi, Evil Connor. Hi, Natanya. Hi, Orbit. And thank you to each and every one of you who comes to my show. So, like I said, we actually have like a pretty good stream today. Did anyone watch the Golden Globes? Do you guys even care about the Golden Globes anymore? Be honest, this is a safe space. I haven't seen, this is the first year in a while that I really haven't seen the majority of stuff that's gotten nominated. And I felt like I did see a lot of movies this year, but as I was putting together my top 10 list, I was like, there's actually quite a few movies I didn't get to. I don't know. I kind of feel like 2024 overall was not a great year for movies. Even a lot of movies that got nominated or are getting awards attention, I don't think would be strong awards contenders, even just 10 years ago. I really do feel like we're just like in some like weird time where like movies are just not hitting like they used to. So I don't know. I feel like I would have gone to see more movies this year, but there were just so many, or last year, but there were just so many options that I was just like, I don't know if I want to see this. I think I can wait to see it at home. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of you guys are just not interested in either. Happy New Year's as well. Yeah, I don't want to see Baby Girl. That's the thing. Even for the big like awards films that are getting a lot of attention, I don't even want to see them just because a lot of them sound like not interesting. Or they just straight up just sound like boring, or like the subject matter turns me off for whatever reason. I'm just like, I don't know. This award season has not been for me. Aaron says, I don't care about the Golden Globes, but I'm so happy Demi Moore won for Best Actress. Yes, we will talk about that. I do feel bad for Wicked. I feel like Wicked's not going to get the love it deserves, but we'll see. We'll talk about it. Yes, anyway, so let's just get straight into the news for now. So let's start with box office news. So, yes, just to keep you guys up to date with what's going on. So Wicked did just cross 680 million globally. I think at this rate it should cross 700 million, even though it did already go to rent, so it's on digital right now. I think that it's still doing well enough in theaters that it should pass 700 million. Fingers crossed, but that would be huge for this film. No, it's not a billion. Yes, I wish it would have crossed a billion, but I'll take 700 million. Like, that's about how much the last Batman movie made, or the last Guardians movie. So 700 million is good company. I feel like it's a solid hit, definitely a hit. They definitely made money. They're getting awards attention out of it, so it kind of like checks all the boxes. And I definitely think Ariana Grande in particular is going to see a lot of like positive career change out of this. Like, I think she's going to start getting lots of offers if she hasn't already yet. I can just see her starting to be in a lot of stuff in the near future. So get ready for some sort of Ariana Grande film renaissance. Again, I do like her music, so I'm happy that she's actually been able to successfully, so far, transition into film. So that's really good for her. Next, Sonic, also still doing well. I mean, honestly, I thought it would do better. It's done 330 million globally. Now, the budget's 122 million, so I mean, it does need to make a bit more to make sure it's like got a good profit. I did look at what Sonic 2 made. Sonic 2 made only about 405 million. So, I mean, it could get up there, but honestly, I can see Sonic 3 kind of falling a little bit short, which I think would be not good for the film if it made less than the last movie. Ideally, with like franchise movies, you want them to like continuously make more. Well, I don't know. I feel like this one isn't like doing as well as the previous ones. So we'll see what happens. They definitely got tons of plans for this franchise. So it's not really like plans or the future of this franchise is dependent on how well this movie does. It's just interesting that I think that there definitely is like a cap of on interest for this franchise. Like I think they've pretty much saturated all the people who would be interested in these movies. I don't think they're really getting anyone outside of that at this point. But what do you guys think? Are you guys happy with how well it's doing, or do you think it could have done better? Um, Will French, you've already watched Wicked 3 times at home. I really want to see Wicked again at least once more in theaters. I think I might do that this weekend, in fact, or maybe next weekend. But I'm definitely going to see it again. Yeah, we're going to talk about Mufasa. Mufasa, disappointingly, is actually doing pretty well. I mean, not great, not as great as the last Lion King movie, but it's doing well enough that I'm disappointed. Not gonna lie. Um, well, I know you guys are like all defending Sonic. I want Sonic to do well. I really do, so I hope it does. Yeah, the reason why the Spider-Man Beyond movie is on the thumbnail is simply because that was just, I found that image on Google. So that I just felt like this was a good image to use for the thumbnail. Because if you guys remember, originally Spider-Man Spider-Verse Beyond or Spider-Man Beyond was supposed to release this year, but then it got delayed. So that's why it's on the cover. But anyway, I keep saying this year, but I do mean 2024. Let's get back to the news. So, yes, Nosferatu is also doing well. 100 million globally. I did not see this movie doing this well. I think Robert Eggers is definitely gonna like be one of those directors that just works forever because he's built up a lot of goodwill at this point. As long as he doesn't do something like make a what was that movie by that Damien Chazelle did that kind of I think maybe halted his career a bit. It had Margot Robbie in it. It came out about 2 years ago. Do you guys know what movie I'm talking about? It was about like old Hollywood. But anyway, if you guys remember Damien Chazelle, he's the same director that did Whiplash. He did La La Land. He was like one of those directors that was just on the up and up, and like everyone was talking about him. He was so amazing. And then he made a giant flop with Margot Robbie in it before Barbie, and it kind of like halted his career. I haven't really heard from him since. I feel like all Robert Eggers has to do is avoid that fate. And I feel like he could be like one of the big directors in the future. Like I feel like he's like slowly progressing, building up his fan base that I feel like he could be a huge name down the road. I mean, this is impressive for like a movie like Nosferatu. So I think this is going to be huge, huge for Lily Rose Depp, yes, but I think this is even bigger for Robert Eggers. Has anyone seen this yet? Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it. I'm sorry. I do want to see it. I'll let you know when I do, but yes, I haven't seen it yet. Has anyone seen it? What did you guys think of this movie? Josh says Sonic the Hedgehog became a $1 billion franchise for Paramount. That's really good for Paramount. And Paramount needs more franchises, so that's why they're definitely, definitely going to run that Sonic franchise into the ground. You can bet on it. I mean, they're still making Transformers movies. Nobody wants to see more Transformers movies. So, Sonic, I hope you guys are prepared for lots of Sonic, because I think it's about to become the next Transformers. Um, I can't believe it beat Smile 2. I do wish Smile 2 did better at the box office, as you guys will see. I loved Smile 2. Hello, Ethereal Dragon. Seems like most of you guys haven't seen Nosferatu. Yeah, I'm with Lil Danny. I actually, the first time I heard of Nosferatu was from SpongeBob. And Robert Eggers actually gave SpongeBob a shout out for introducing the character to lots of kids. So he is aware. He is aware. But anyway, let's move on. So Moana 2 just crossed 960 million globally. The film has a $150 million budget. Now, this is a really great total. Like, obviously, most movies would kill to have that amount of money. However, the only difference here is that this movie opened huge. If you guys remember, the opening for Moana 2, I probably should have looked this up, but it was like over 200 million, right, for the 5 day. Like it was some like crazy, crazy high opening. It beat Frozen's record. Like I think for how big this movie opened, it should have passed a billion by now. And the fact that it hasn't, I think, speaks to the movie's quality. While I liked Moana, I can acknowledge that it had its flaws, and like, as you guys know, it's still like, it didn't like win me over to the Moana franchise. I don't care for these movies. Um, but like, I honestly think the word of mouth is hurting this movie a bit because it should have passed a billion by now, and it's going so slowly. Like, I don't know if it will, even though it's only got 40 million left. That's actually quite a lot when like it's already made the vast majority of the money that it's going to make. So I don't even know if it's going to cross a billion, and that would be really embarrassing to get that close when it opened that high, because then that would again mean that this movie had like pretty bad word of mouth. Did anyone like Moana 2? Did you like it? Did you think it was that bad? I didn't think it was as bad as like people were saying it was. But clearly, I do think that the negative word on this movie is hurting it to a degree. What do you think? Calexis says, I just didn't 100% like the songs as much as the first one. Yeah, I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda he wasn't around this time to do the music, and I think that really shows. I think he did do the music for The Lion King, and I think he's helping that movie a lot. The only thing I ever see about this movie on social media is that one song that obviously Lin wrote. So again, I think just like with Encanto and how I think Lin's music saved that movie, I think Lin's music is also saving Mufasa. We're going to talk about Mufasa in a second. Editing Geek says it will probably cross a billion in a few weeks. Maybe Martin Luther King weekend will help the box office. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it might. It's very, very close. I just think it either will be like just under a billion or just over. Like it's not going to reach Frozen 2 numbers. And the way it opened, it definitely could have. So like it didn't have very strong legs. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, the villain was awful. As you guys know, if you watch my review, I said hands down the villain was the worst part of the movie. Made no sense at all. Nick just says, the reason I like Moana is the unique story, and the story in this one was no good and weirdly pieced together. Yeah, like I said, because you guys know this movie used to be a TV show, as I was watching the film, I was trying to piece together, like, I was trying to imagine when the episodes would end or cut off, and I think I got the pacing of it. It was like, there would be a song, a bit of action, and then they'd move to a new location. And I feel like every episode must have had a song and some sort of conflict, because I felt like that's how the movie was divided up. So I definitely felt pieced together to me as well. Anyway, moving on. So I think the next one is Mufasa. So yes, Mufasa. Disappointingly actually doing kind of okay. Not amazing. Not great. Not even like, well, but okay. That's how I would describe it's doing. Okay. Now, it just crossed 475 million globally, and the film has a $200 million budget. Again, they don't get to keep this whole money. Some of the theaters get to keep it, so it still needs to make more, I think, to really break even, as like including promotions and everything, like marketing. So this number isn't great, but I think it's going to wind up not being a total embarrassment. Like, this isn't the Marvel situation. It's not doing that badly, which is what I honestly thought was possible for this film. So the fact that it's going to do probably like Little Mermaid numbers means that it's doing okay. Not great, not amazing, but it's doing okay. Again, I think Lin-Manuel Miranda owes a lot of credit. I really, really do. The only thing I ever hear people talk about this movie positively, or really at all, is when it comes to the songs. So he had that going for him. I think Lin's going to be working with Disney for a long time. I think that's a partnership that's not going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, I think with the success of Wicked, I think it's a no-brainer at this point that they should go for like a live-action Hamilton, right? Why would they not make a Hamilton movie like and piggyback off of the success of Wicked, especially when they have Lin working for them already? I feel like the live action Hamilton announcement's coming any day now. I really do. But are you guys surprised by this? Did anyone have families that like forced you to see this movie over the holiday weekend? What I mean, why do you guys think this movie is doing so well, or at least as well as it is? Yeah, Josh says Mufasa's gonna lead to Disney making more sequels and prequels to their live action remakes. I know. I'm upset about that. That's why I was kind of hoping it would fail, because I was hoping that this would lead to some sort of like soul searching for Disney. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't make movies like this. Maybe we can be just a smidge more creative, a smidge more interesting, and like not make just soulless slop, you know? But they're getting rewarded for the bare minimum, so they're gonna keep giving us that. So that sucks. Vincent says, don't worry, Mufasa will be forgotten. Yeah, but like the impact is still there in the sense that they got the money. That's all they care about. They don't care if people will forget about this movie in like 3 months. They just care that they get money, you know? Evil Connor says, I'm here for a sequel to live action Little Mermaid, though. I loved Hallie and Jonah. You know what? I really liked Hallie and Jonah together. That was my favorite part about that movie. I actually feel like the actor who played Jonah should be in more things. He's like the perfect guy to put in a rom-com. Yeah. I actually think a couple people in that movie needed more work off of that, but oh well. Oh, Vincent, your sister wants you to watch it. Well, hold strong, hold strong. Fake mustache. See, fake mustache is singing the songs. Lin really saved this movie. I'm gonna say this movie is only semi-successful because of Lin's music. That's what I'm gonna say. And to be fair, the power of the Lion King brand is pretty strong. Anyway, moving on. So I just wanted to give you some like brief highlights of the 2024 overall. Of 2024 overall. So, the highest grossing Hollywood films worldwide in 2024 are as follows. And a couple of these numbers will be updated, obviously. So, like, the numbers for Wicked, for example, is not final, but it's a general assessment of we can kind of guess where it's going to be. So, number 1, Inside Out 2 with 1.7 billion. That's insane. Oh my God, that's insane. That's really a lot. Like, y'all don't understand. The last Spider-Man movie made 1.9. This is only about 200 million less than the Spider-Man movie with all the Spider-Mans together. Like, this is insane. Okay. Number 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, 1.3 billion. This is also very, very good for this movie, and obviously Marvel needed this hit. So good for Ryan Reynolds, good for Hugh Jackman, very good for Marvel, because if this movie had flopped, I don't know what they would have done. I mean, that would have just had to be like, I think, game over for Marvel, right? Like, I think it was that dire. Despicable Me 4 actually did not make a billion. It did not crack a billion. It got close. It got very close, but did not crack a billion. Still made a ton of money, though, so, I mean, they're still going to make a million of these movies. Despicable Me is not going away anytime soon. You will see those minions from now until the end of time. So I hope you love the minions. Moana 2, 913 million, though we did just hear that it's actually more than that. Again, these aren't the final numbers. Dune 2, 714 million. I am happy that Dune's in the top 5. However, there is a very slim chance that Wicked could beat Dune 2, possibly. I'm not holding my breath because I think if Wicked does cross 700 million, it will likely be like just over 700 million, not like a lot over, not even like 14 million over. But it's possible if like it does really well in Japan or something, I don't know. But I think for the most part, we can probably say Wicked will be at least at number 6. Godzilla x Kong, I still can't believe that did well. 572 million. That should have been Godzilla -1. Number 8, Kung Fu Panda 4. I do like Kung Fu Panda 4. I think I liked it more than most of y'all. A lot of y'all said you didn't like that movie, but I thought it was okay. This continues to be a strong franchise. 548 million is pretty good. Venom 3, oh my god. I don't think I'm gonna make a worst of list. However, if I did make a worst of list, I think this would be my number one least favorite movie of the year. Yes, more than Madam Web. That's how much I hated Venom 3. I didn't like it even more than Madam Web. I did not like that movie. Thought it was terrible. And then Beetlejuice 2 with 451 million. Again, I kind of feel like Beetlejuice 2 could have and should have done better. I think this is a little disappointing for that movie, but at least it made it to the top 10, so. Is this list surprising to any of y'all, or does this seem like as you expected or predicted? Um, Laylene is unhappy that Despicable Me was successful. You wanted the minions to be buried by now. That's not going to happen anytime soon. Like I said, I was just in Universal on my vacation. And not only do the minions have a ride, but they have like their own experience. Like there are minion meet and greets. Like minions are entrenched like as part of Universal's like biggest IP at this point. So minions aren't going anywhere. Laylene says the best thing about Dune 2 doing well is that it means Dune 3 can be as hated by the broader audience as it must be for it to work from a narrative standpoint. I'm so curious to see what they do with the third Dune movie, just because everyone says that it's crazy. I haven't read the books, but I've heard that there's some crazy stuff in it. So yeah, we'll see how Dune 3 does compared to the first two. Maybe it's possible, because I know there's a lot of people, even a lot of you guys, who don't like the Dune movies because you think they're boring or they're too like serious or whatever. I'm actually wondering if like adding more weird, wacky stuff to Dune 3 might get like the general audience more interested. It is possible. It is possible. So we'll see. Yes, Josh says the marketing for Wicked and Beetlejuice 2 was everywhere. That's why I still think Beetlejuice 2 is actually a slight disappointment. Because you're right, the marketing was everywhere. And it couldn't crack 500 million worldwide. I don't know. I don't think that movie was as good as it could have been. I really think, and this hurts for me to say, because at one point in my life, Tim Burton was like my favorite director ever. I loved him. Now I think he's pretty washed, to be honest. I think he's pretty washed. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. So, moving on to this year, according to IMDb users, these are the top 10 most anticipated movies of 2025. So, number 1, Superman. I thought this was actually pretty surprising. I really did. Superman. I mean, that's really good for James Gunn. Like, really good. We've talked ad nauseum about how much James Gunn needs Superman to be a hit. So the fact that it's the number 1 most anticipated, at least by IMDb users, is huge. And I do think that the trailer was pretty good. I know not everyone liked it. I think maybe the reaction was more mixed to negative, actually. But I liked the trailer. I don't like how the movie looks physically, like visually. I don't like whatever blue tints on the movie, but I do like the content of what's there. So maybe Superman might be a surprise big hit. We'll see. It depends on how good the movie is. Now, I have heard that test screenings for Superman have been poor, allegedly. So I'm hoping those rumors aren't true, but if they are, they have plenty of time to fix whatever the problem is. I hope that they can just fix the issue, because yeah, the movie has to be good for it to be a hit. Number 2, 28 years later. That's kind of surprising that that franchise has a loyal following. Number 3, Fantastic Four. That's really surprising. That's the most anticipated Marvel movie of the year. More than Thunderbolts and more than Captain America. More than Captain America, y'all. Captain America is actually at number 6, which I actually think is quite low for this kind of movie. And it continues to make me worried, especially since people are apparently more excited for Thunderbolts. Really? that makes me nervous about how well Captain America might do. I'm not gonna lie, but that's really good for Fantastic Four. How to Train Your Dragon as well, number 4. As I told you, I do feel like there's an audience for this movie. I think this will be another dark horse movie that does like really, really well. Snow White being here at number 7 is very surprising. That's very high, in my opinion. I don't know if this is like morbid curiosity or genuine curiosity, but maybe it doesn't matter if enough people go see it. I'm really curious. Does this mean that there might be an audience for this movie? Or it's just IMDb users are excited. I don't know. But this is curious. Jurassic World Rebirth, I mean, it can only be better than the last movie. That's all I'll say. Minecraft, yeah, I expected this to be higher just because of the name recognition. The fact that this is so low, I think, speaks to how bad the movie actually looks. And then number 10, I'm glad Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is here. I don't know how well it's going to do, but I'm glad that it at least made the top 10. So, overall, this being the top 10 list of most anticipated movies, I don't know. Am I wrong, or is this list kind of weak? Like, I feel like there's not a lot of like huge movies. Like, I don't even think there's a single guaranteed billion-dollar hit in this list. Again, 2026 looks amazing for movies. Like, let's just get to next year, because I actually think 2025 looks kind of weak, in my opinion. But do you guys think this is a strong list? What do you guys think of this list? Oh yeah, Will says, how is Snow White on here and not Wicked for Good? That's a great question. Maybe because people just saw Wicked, they aren't thinking about Wicked for Good already? I don't know. Maybe it just slipped their mind? But that's a great question, and I would like to know. Yeah, no originals on this list either. They're all like either a Marvel movie or a sequel or a video game adaptation. Which, I mean, I think pretty true to the state of Hollywood today. I mean, like, are we really surprised? Yeah, Black Star, I agree. It's a weak list compared to 2024. I agree. And no Avatar. You're right. No Avatar. Man, I don't know how legitimate this list is. There's no way this is, like, accurate. How is Avatar not on here? I think maybe this speaks to, like, how big an internet fan base might be, because, like, this is IMDb users, so maybe this is, like, people who are just, like, film bros who hang out on film Twitter or something, who have Letterboxd accounts. Like, maybe that's the audience of who voted for these movies. And I can see that audience not caring that much about Wicked, because it's usually mostly men. And I can see that audience not mentioning Avatar, because Avatar has, like, zero online fan base. That movie strictly appeals to casuals and, like, the general public. So maybe that's what it is? I don't know. Oh yeah, Megan is not on here. That's also surprising. Well, not that surprising. Honestly, I'm not that surprised by that. Yeah, Vincent, your most anticipated movies of 2025 are animated. Yeah, there's some good animated movies coming out this year, like Zootopia. But anyway, very interesting list. Let's go on to entertainment news now. So, let's now look at the top 10 most pirated TV shows of 2024. So I included this list just because I thought it would be interesting to see what's actually the most popular, not determined by ratings, but by just like people seeking it out, and even if that means having to do it illegally. So House of the Dragon is number 1. That doesn't surprise me. Game of Thrones has always been like the most pirated show. Number 2, The Boys. I mean, not good for The Boys, but also good in the sense that means that it's very popular. I mean, it's above Shogun, Arcane, The Penguin, which The Penguin, that really sucks for The Penguin because they could have used the viewership. Same with Arcane, to be honest. Honestly, all of these could have used the extra viewership except for maybe House of the Dragon. Fallout, Reacher, Silo, Dune Prophecy made the list. I thought people hated that show, but people pirated it. And then Halo. I didn't even know anyone was watching Halo, so that's surprising. That definitely could have used the extra viewership. But anyway, did you guys watch any of these shows? Are you surprised how popular they are? Thoughts? Not surprised Arcane is here. Editing Geek says, how do they even get this information? I don't know. That's a good question. I actually don't know. Yes, we're going to talk about that soon, Josh, as well. But anyway, let's get to the Golden Globes then, since you did mention it. So yes, the Golden Globes were last night. I did watch the show. Overall, I thought it was okay. I still miss the clips. Like, I miss when, like, they would call on a nominee and they would play a clip from the movie. I really feel like that was really cool. Like, I like seeing an example of the acting that got them the nomination. What they did instead was, like, they just showed you where they sat in the room, and I thought that was really weird and dumb. I didn't like that at all. But I did like some of the things. Like, I liked the host. I thought she was funny. I thought some of the jokes that the presenters did was funny. And, like, I didn't think it was too boring. Still very long, but, like, I've seen worst award shows. Like, I don't think anything will be as bad as the 2020 Oscars award show. Maybe the 2021. It was one of them. Where they were, like, in a train tunnel or something like that. And it was, oh, I hated that. It wasn't nearly that bad, at least. But anyway, Amelia Perez won 4 Golden Globes. It was the biggest winner of the night, which includes Zoe Saldana, who is now a first-time Golden Globe winner. Now, Zoe Saldana won Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy or Musical, beating out Ariana Grande. So this is really not great for Ariana. I think that this makes it now harder for her to win future awards, although I don't think that's impossible. She still has Critics' Choice, which I think could go her way, and she has SAG, which could go her way. I think what's actually counting out against Ariana is not the fact that her performance wasn't good. It's just the fact that this was her first, like, big acting performance in a movie. And Zoe Saldana has been acting for decades. So, you know, there's a bit of seniority that goes on in this awards process, in the sense that, like, they're going to want to give it to someone who's been working for decades over someone who, like, this is their first big movie. So I think that Ariana has that going against her. And I love Zoe Saldana. I haven't seen the movie, but I like her, so I'm glad that she's getting attention. I feel like now I have to see this movie since it's getting so much attention. I'll be honest, all the clips that I've seen of this movie on the internet look terrible. Remember when I was telling you at the beginning of this live stream how there were certain awards films that just didn't even look good to me, and that's why I didn't see them? Amelia Perez was one of them. I've seen some clips from this movie that look god-awful, and I'm like, how is this getting awards buzz? But anyway, I guess I should reserve judgment because I haven't actually seen it, but it doesn't look that great to me. But anyway, I'm happy for Zoe, but although I'm still sad for Ariana. Yeah, Mitchell, yeah, that sucks as well. John Chu, the director of Wicked, wasn't even nominated, which sucks. It's definitely, I think, Wicked is being treated like it's not as serious of a film as it's, the other movies getting nominated. It only won 1 award for the night, and that was for basically the participation award. Wicked got best cinematic and box office achievement, which I'm just like, that's the award that Barbie got last year that felt like an insult. So now I feel like whoever wins this award is like the kiss of death. Like, you're definitely not going to win Best Picture if you get this award. You know what I mean? I think they should get rid of this category. Because not only does nobody take this category seriously, but I actually think it hurts whatever film wins it. Because then now it's just branded as the commercial film. And its award is the box office, and like now it doesn't get taken seriously for awards, which sucks because I actually think Wicked is a very good film and it deserves to be taken seriously for awards. And it, by the way, the whole commercial narrative is not just hurting Wicked, by the way. It's also hurting Dune Part 2. Because Dune Part 2 is also an amazing movie that is not getting like any awards recognition, really. I mean, it's getting noms, but it's not really seriously like in contention, which is just crazy to me that it's getting overlooked. And I think the reason it's getting overlooked is because it's a blockbuster. I really think that there's like this sort of like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. I think there's like a very snooty, elitist attitude about movies that the Academy or this audience has. I mean, let's talk about The Brutalist, right? The Brutalist. Have you guys heard of the movie The Brutalist? We're not going to talk about that. Hold on. We'll get to it. The Brutalist was the second biggest winner of the night with 3 awards, including Best Drama Picture. The Brutalist hasn't even rolling out wide to the whole country yet. The only people who have seen this movie are critics and people who were in that audience last night. I mean, talk about an extremely small audience. Extremely small audience. I mean, I get that it's probably a great movie. I haven't had the chance to even be able to see it yet. I'm not taking away its artistic achievements or if it's like actually a good film. I've heard great things about the movie. I'm sure it's a good movie. However, Hollywood is not helping its very elitist image right now that it has. Because I don't know if you guys have realized this, but I think this became especially clear after the election. Hollywood's reputation is in the toilet right now. Like, celebrity culture and like interest in celebrities is on the decline partially because people see this industry as like too elitist or too just they only they sniff their own farts and it's all about what they want and they're not really making stuff that the people want anymore, and they don't help this narrative, right? When anytime that there is a really good movie that happens to be popular, like Wicked, like Barbie, heck, you could even throw in Top Gun into this conversation. Anytime like a movie happens to also make money, but even though it's really good and it gets nominations, it's suddenly not taken serious anymore because it's too popular. And they give these awards to movies like Amelia Perez and The Brutalist, which no one besides their niche circle of elitist friends have seen. They're just not helping their image at all, is all I'm saying, when they do stuff like this. I think it's part of why like awards have lost a lot of their luster and interest from the general public. But has anyone seen The Brutalist? Are you just like, yeah, it totally deserves, you're wrong? What do you think? That super says these aren't audience awards, though. Yes, I get that. I get that. However, what does it say that a movie can get all this praise while it's in theaters? Like a movie like Wicked, for example. And it did get a lot of Oscar buzz when the movie was like first released because people were like, oh wow, this is amazing. This is so good. But then as soon as like we actually get to awards season, it's just relegated to like the blockbuster of the year. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not an awards like show for the audience, but like for them to have kind of open disdain for the audience, I think it's a problem for an awards season, an award show like the Golden Globes, like the Oscars, where they're supposed to like promote film and get like everyone interested in film. But it's like now they only care about keeping film very niche and elitist. You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of the opposite of what these award shows should be for. You're not going to get more people interested in movies and film if you're going to keep acting like the only movies that matter are the ones that the only people who can see it are in the room. You know what I mean? Um, Madam Web. No, Madam Web did not win anything. Madam Web wasn't even nominated. You guys are funny. Thank you, Oscar. Yes, justice for Barbie. I totally agree. Josh says The Brutalist feels way too similar to Oppenheimer. I'll take your word for it. I also didn't like Oppenheimer, so maybe I won't like The Brutalist. Who knows? But yes, let's move on. So, speaking of The Brutalist, Adrian Brody actually did get Best Actor in a Drama Film, beating Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. I mean, Timothy Chalamet has been getting like Leonardo DiCaprio comparisons a lot. And I think, unfortunately for him, part of that comparison might be that he's probably going to get nominated a lot for Oscars and for awards, but like never won anything until he's like in his 40s. I think he's probably going to copy Leo in that aspect as well. Because everyone keeps saying, "Oh, you're so amazing. You're shoo-in to get, win these awards." And then they always end up giving it to someone else. And if you guys remember, before Leo finally won his Oscar, that dude was desperate. I mean, it became an internet meme because it was so obvious how desperate he was for the Oscar. I mean, it was low-key getting a little sad. I don't want Timothy to get that desperate level. I don't want him to become Bradley Cooper, you know? So I hope he just keeps working. He'll eventually win that award, but it seems like they probably think he's still like too young for it. And I think part of why he might be growing out that terrible facial hair is because I think he's trying to make himself look older in the eyes of the Academy. But I don't know if it's going to work because like the fact that he can't grow facial hair kind of only highlights how young he is. So I think it's kind of having the opposite effect that he wants. But were you surprised about this? Were you rooting for Timothy Chalamet, or did you think this was a good choice? Um, Ethereal Dragon says people drool over bad movies because of hollow symbolism and it looks pretty. I can agree with that to a point. I definitely think that there are some movies where like they're so obsessed with being pretty and having a lot of symbolism and all that. Um, where they forget to just like actually be entertaining movies you want to watch. And a movie that immediately comes to mind that I would describe as that is Roma. Did you guys ever see the movie Roma? This was like back when I really did try to watch like every Oscar movie pretty much ever talked about just because I wanted to like have good reference for like award season and everything. Um and part of the reason why I stopped doing that, by the way, was because I quickly realized that a lot of movies that get talked about for Oscars, even for Oscar noms, or even Oscar wins, like even movies that actually win, they could be really talked about for that year or just that award season, and then they're never talked about again. Like that happens every freaking year. And I started to realize that I was watching movies that I didn't even like, I wasn't even interested in, that people forgot about as soon as the Oscars were over. And I was just like, you know what? I don't think I need to watch all these movies. That's really what made me stop because I was just like, that's why I actually personally think that if a movie was able to inspire the masses enough to like make people want to go to theaters to go see it, that should be a positive in whether or not a movie should win like a major award or not. That's why I think it's important because we need movies that people have actually seen. We can't just like keep awarding movies that like only the people there have seen because then once award season is gone, those movies are like completely forgotten about by that crowd because now they're already thinking about next year's movies. And now we've gotten all these movies that were nominated and even won that have like no cultural relevancy beyond the year that they were nominated. I'm talking about, yes, Roma. I'm talking about Coda. I'm talking about Nomadland. I'm talking about a lot of movies that won awards, really big awards, big picture, like best picture even. And it just made like zero impact because the only people who actually liked those movies or cared were the people who voted for them. And that's why I have a problem with it. That's why I have a problem with it. But anyway, I could go on my soapbox about that for a while, so I'm gonna move on. Oh, Josh says this is the most fascinating award season in a while. Okay. Um, well, I mean, I think this award season's been the most open, at least before the Golden Globes, it seemed like the most open, that's for sure. I think this doesn't seem like as set as like previous award seasons, so I can see how that would be exciting. Um, oh, someone actually enjoyed Roma. What did you like? That was a chore, man. I think I actually had to pause the film at some point just because I needed a break. Just because I was like, why am I watching a wall for like 10 minutes? I don't know, man. That was rough for me. I did not care for that. Um, Janisha says, I'm convinced the Oscars committee are baby boomers or older Gen X. Yeah, it is. It is. That's why I'm like pretty sure. In fact, let's go to it. That's why I'm like pretty certain that Demi Moore is going to win the Oscar for Best Actress. Just because she taps into that narrative of like middle-aged woman who misses her youth and is, upset with how Hollywood treats women and as they age. Like that type of narrative and storyline is something that so many people who are in the voting like branch of the Academy care about, that they're going to vote for Demi Moore just because that character seems like them. Like I really think that's why she's a lock for that particular role, which means I think Cynthia Erivo has zero chance at getting that Wicked Best Actress win. She might get the nom. I think she'll still get the nom, but I don't think she's gonna get the win. I think it's definitely gonna go to Demi Moore for sure, just because she taps into that middle-aged woman who's scared of aging demographic, who is most of the Academy. So that's my hot take there. Um, Evil Connor, if you've seen Roma, you understand why I said that. You said LMAO. I was a screener for an indie film festival this summer, and this was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Well, I hope you saw some good movies. I really do. I know some indie movies are good. I know I'm picking on Roma a lot, but man, that was like, I swear some of those shots were literally watching paint dry. I was just like, this is an endurance. Um, Josh says, Demi Moore beating Mikey Madison shocked her, but I loved her speech. I'm glad Demi Moore won more over Mikey Madison, to be honest. Just because I feel like that type of performance in Anora I've seen before. I just wasn't, I don't know. I feel like what Demi Moore had to do in The Substance was more like dynamic and impressive. Um, okay, you did see some amazing films. That's cool. That's cool. A girl behind you. Don't say that. Why are you scaring me? That's like that was like something you see in a horror movie. What do you mean if someone's behind me? Um. Anyway, that's scary. Let's move on though. Moving on. Flo, another surprise of the night. Flo actually won Best Animated Feature, beating out not just The Wild Robot, but also Inside Out 2. I was surprised by that. I thought this category was going to be between The Wild Robot and Inside Out 2. Now it seems like Inside Out 2 is like now in third place, because it seems like Flo is actually the one to beat. Now, Flo is a movie I did want to see. I told you guys about it many times. I still haven't gotten the chance to see it just because it's such a small movie. Like I'm sure it's playing somewhere in New York, but I'm gonna have to find it. Like this is not a wide release movie that everyone's seen. Again, this is a very small movie. Um, But yeah, beat even the Wild Robot, which is so surprising. Which means the Wild Robot got zero awards. This is one of those movies where I feel like it really tapped in to like the cultural moment in a way that like it got people wanting to like go see the movie that weren't even considering it. The it did very well at the box office just because of like great word of mouth. Um I mean, it just had such feeling and emotion that yes, I haven't seen Amelia Perez, but I can't imagine that movie has more heart and emotion than The Wild Robot. You know what I mean? Not from the clips that I've seen. So I'm just like, the fact that they won't award or even recognize films like this, I think just kind of shows how out of touch the industry is, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it. But are you surprised by this? I did see The Substance, Maria. I did. I do think Demi Moore was really good in The Substance, I will say. I actually did like The Substance, as you'll see. Um, but yeah. I was still rooting for Cynthia, but I don't think Cynthia's gonna get it. Okay, Josh was also surprised by Flo. Okay. Laylene thinks Inside Out 2 was super mid. Oh, I disagree. I loved Inside Out 2. A lot of you are really happy for Flo, though. I'm gonna have to see this. I'm gonna have to see this. Anyway, moving on. So, the Golden Globes producers actually want Nikki Glaser to host again. I actually thought she was okay. I thought she was actually pretty good. She had some decent, funny jokes. I think she could have gone harder. She wasn't quite as hard as Ricky Gervais, which is what, as you guys know, I've been telling you. I want someone who's like him to host because I feel like he was the best host. But she was like Ricky Gervais light, I guess. I think she was too nice. I think if she does host again, she should go a little bit meaner. But I feel like that's not something hosts feel like they can do anymore because, like, celebrities, they keep complaining about that stuff and they get really sensitive about jokes. So I can understand why she held back, but I do feel like it hurt her just a little bit. But overall, I thought she was okay. So I can see why they'd want her back, to be honest. Is there anyone else you guys would want to see host the Golden Globes in the future? How did you think of her performance? Did you like her monologue, her jokes? I kind of liked the Wicked Pope thing. I liked that she didn't actually go through with it and she canceled herself. I thought that was really funny. Okay, Josh liked her. That's great. Yeah, the hold my pinky joke, that was funny. The hold space, I'm glad that they brought that up. The fact that that became such like a meme is really funny to me. Aaron says you could see Chelsea Handler host the show. I could see her, but I don't think the industry likes her very much. She never gets any work. Um, but yeah, I think for the most part she was pretty good. Now, at the on the red carpet, a lot of people noticed Zendaya was wearing a ring. She was wearing a ring, and everyone was like, wait a minute, is this just like a regular ring? Did Tom propose? Well, now we know. They just announced today, TMZ announced that Tom Holland and Zendaya are reportedly engaged. According to the report, apparently he popped the question sometime between Christmas and New Year's. They were at one of Zendaya's family homes, and apparently Tom Holland even asked her dad's permission before he proposed. Like, he went real old school with it. So I think that's really sweet. I'm so happy for them. I think their Nepo baby will be the first Nepo baby people actually like and accept from the bat. Honestly, I think we all saw this coming. I mean, they've been together for many years now. So I'm really happy for them. Wish them the best. I mean, they have a lot of work that they're going to be doing together between the next Spider-Man movie and the Odyssey. They're both in the Odyssey. They have a lot of work that they're going to be doing together professionally. So it's a good thing that they can work together well because they're going to need that skill. But anyway, are you guys happy, excited, surprised? What are you guys thinking about this? Yeah, a lot of people thought they were already engaged, but no, this is new, actually. Josh is really happy for them. Tanisha says he don't care. Um, yeah, they're very, very cute. Like, they're a very, like, wholesome, cute couple. They're not like Timothy and what's her face, Kylie Jenner, where everyone's just like, why? Why are you together? This is like a couple that everyone can get behind, you know? But anyway, moving on. So, speaking of Wicked, again, the director of Wicked, John Chu, is also the same person that will be directing the Britney Spears biopic movie. And this is the literally the best news this movie could have ever gotten. So, John Chu says Britney Spears will be very involved in the upcoming biopic based on her 2023 memoir, The Woman in Me. That's amazing. I was really, really worried because, okay. If y'all saw my Spotify Wrapped, you would see that Britney Spears was my second, I think she was in my top five. She was in my top five most listened to artists for the year. I love Britney. I'm a Britney stan. Love her music a lot. So when I say that woman clearly is a few marbles short, and we all can see it, just know I'm not being a hater, okay? I'm just being real, all right? So I was a little worried that she was going to go off on this movie and say how, like, the movie didn't have her approval, that she was just going to try to tank this movie. In the same way that, like, Pamela Anderson kind of tried to tank her own biopic TV show. I was afraid that Britney was going to, like, go after this movie, and then all her fans would turn against it, and it wouldn't do as well as it otherwise could have, just because I thought Britney would turn the fans against the movie. But if Britney is heavily involved with the creation of this film, then that means the movie has her blessing. And that means I think this movie has the potential to be a gigantic hit. In fact, I think there's a chance that this movie could be as successful or as popular as the Michael Jackson film. Possibly more, just because she's so iconic and successful right now and, like, highly relevant to Gen Z. Like, she's been able to, like, keep her legacy alive across generations, which is really important. Like, that's what happened with Queen. Queen has many generations that like them. That's why Bohemian Rhapsody did really well. And I think Britney is another star who has several generations that like them. So that's why I think that her movie could be actually really huge, especially with Britney's explicit approval. So I'm thinking this could be $1 billion hit. I think if they cast Britney right, and I think they're probably going to go with a no-name, I would be surprised if they went with someone well-known. I think this movie could be a massive hit. What do you guys think, though? Are you looking forward to this Britney Spears movie? Josh says you also think this could be as big of a hit as Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, I definitely agree. Arvin wants a Dolly Parton biopic. I think that'll probably come eventually. Yeah, I hope Britney gets a say in who gets to play her. I really do. Potato Girl says, yeah, the biopic will be crazy successful. Yeah. Denisha says they can be engaged. Oh, you're talking about them. Evil Connor says, imagine the Lucky music video, but a movie. I mean, Lucky is basically, like, a good example of, I think, probably what this movie's going to be about. Like, the whole, like, I got everything I wanted and I'm still sad. I think part of the reason why this movie is going to be such a hit is not just because, like, she's so popular. It's also the fact that, like, people want to know what happened to her. Like, how did she go from, like, a seemingly very sane person, right, to what she is now? So I think people are also going to want to, like, watch the movie to see, like, what happened, you know? I think there's a curiosity factor there that's also going to drive this movie to successful heights. That's what I think. Well, Naomi, you can just stop watching. Um, Evil Connor says she was the first manufactured, albeit multi-talented pop star. What an interesting story. Yeah, I think she has a fascinating history and story. Fascinating. Um, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. So what else? We're almost to my top 10, I promise. So Dune 4 is reportedly in early development at Warner Brothers. Denis Villeneuve, though, is unlikely to return as director. So Denis said a while ago that he would only do Dune movies up to the third one. However, it seems like Warner Brothers wants to keep this franchise alive and they're making a fourth one. Now, there are multiple books beyond the third Dune Messiah book that they could work from, but everything that I've heard about those books is that they're like too crazy to be like actually like be made like to a like into a movie. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're probably going to have to start making significant changes from the book to make these movies like commercial. But also, I'm very nervous to not have Denis Villeneuve working on these movies because I mean, everything I haven't seen like Dune Prophecy, but I've heard that it's really missing Denis' touch. So I don't know if there's really another director out there, sans like James Cameron, who could do this franchise justice. And James Cameron's too busy making Avatar movies. So I don't know. I'm really nervous about this. I want more Dune, but I don't know if this is a good idea. I think it really depends on what director they get to do the film. For people who know the Dune books better than I do you think doing a Dune 4 is a good idea? And what do you think it would even be about? Yeah. Josh says the Dune books get crazier, especially Dune Messiah. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Um, Calexa says, I hope it does good since she's a victim of the media of how they brought her up. Oh, yeah, the Britney book. I mean, the Britney movie, yeah. Like I said, I think part of why I think the movie will do so well is people want to know what happened to her. I like McKenna Grace, but I think they should really go with a no name. Um, Alex Garland? Well, maybe. I don't know. We really need someone who can go big, you know? We'll see, though. We'll see what happens with Dune 4. We don't really know much about it for right now. So, Jason Momoa has also been officially cast as Lobo and Supergirl. So let's talk about this, because this is a lot of parts dumb. I don't know how I feel about this. In fact, I lean quite negative on this decision, and here's why. So, you guys know that James Gunn is supposedly supposed to be restarting the whole DC universe, right? And that's what he's doing with Superman, and Superman's supposed to kickstart this whole new DCU, separate from the DCEU, because the DCEU fell apart, basically. Then that's putting it nicely. So, I don't understand how this new DC universe is supposed to separate itself from the old one if they're so quick to reuse talent. Like, yes, I know actors have played multiple superhero characters before, but so close together, and when they're supposed to be seemingly rebooting a whole universe? I feel like that adds a whole other layer of confusion for casuals who don't follow this stuff that closely. And also, I feel like that also doesn't allow this new DC universe to really be truly different from the old. If you keep using the same talent, it's just going to feel like the same universe just shuffled around. So I feel like this is not a good start for James Gunn's new universe. As much as I love Jason Momoa, and I really do. He's like one of my favorite actors working today. I really like Jason Momoa. But he shouldn't be in this. Even if he's a great fit for this character. He was Aquaman just like 5 minutes ago. There needs to be at least a few more years of a break before he can come back as something else. I feel like this is just too soon. Like way too soon. But what do you guys think? Do you actually want to see Jason Momoa and Supergirl? Do you think Supergirl's even going to come out? Because I don't understand how like they're so confident Supergirl's getting made. When doesn't that depend on the success of Superman? Like, are they gonna start filming Supergirl before they even know if Superman's a success? Because that's risky. I don't know. There's a lot about this that I just find to be really weird. What do you guys think? Vincent says James Gunn is done. Well, we'll see how Superman does. If it does well, he's fine. If it flops, then yeah, he's done. Janisha says this is just like Robert Downey Jr. playing Doom. Why is Aquaman playing Lobo? I do feel like it's similar. Yeah, it's a similar situation. Evil Connor says Marvel is doing what Ryan Murphy did with American Horror Story, using the same cast to play different characters each season. Well, this is DC. But yeah, American Horror Story can do it because it's an anthology series. You know what you're getting into. This is not how these universes should be going. Okay, that Super says seems like lazy casting. Yeah. Superman can't be a flop because it's huge. I think it definitely can. I think DC has proven that there's no bottom. There's just no bottom. It definitely can flop if it's bad. But yeah, anyway, it seems like at least one of you just wants shirtless scenes of Jason. That's all you want and you'll be happy. You know what? I'm not going to fault you for that. I'm not going to fault you for that. Okay. Naomi Long says this will flop. Well, we'll see. I do like Millie Alcock, who's playing Supergirl, so we'll see. But anyway, let's get to my actual top 10 now. So, again, as I was making this top 10 list, I realized very quickly that there was a number of movies that I didn't get a chance to see that probably could have made this list had I actually seen them, but I won't know. So, keep that in mind. This list might change as I see some more movies, but we'll see. This is what the list is as of today. So, number 10. Civil War. Do you guys remember Civil War? That came out like early last year. This is my number 10 for the year. And here's why. Even though I really, really did not like the ending. And if you've seen my review, I did a whole live stream review on this movie. I really hated the ending. However, the rest of the movie was actually quite solid. I liked how many twists there were. Seeing this in a crowd where the crowd had like such audible reactions that people were like gasping and like you could tell how tense everyone was during certain scenes. This was a really well-written movie. And I really liked the acting in it. I thought that what's her name? The actress in Civil War. You guys probably know her from Spider-Man. Why am I drawing a blank on her name? But like I thought she was really good in it. There was enough in it that I thought it was strong. It was memorable, which in this day and age, I feel like that's saying something. And I thought that the tense pacing of it and like the what kind of American are you? I really liked those scenes. I thought those scenes were like, again, really graphic, really visceral, really memorable. So I actually really liked this movie, despite hating the ending. I did hate the ending, but the majority of the movie was good. Evil Connor, you just gifted 5 memberships. Oh, wow. Thank you, Evil Connor. You're always such an active, kind, generous person of the chat, and I'm so glad that you're always on every live stream. Thank you so much for gifting memberships. So who's a member now? We have New Big John's a member, Georgie's a member, Caldonia's a member, Nicholas Wilson, you're now a member. Paris was gifted a membership. Yeah, thank you guys. Now you're members. You're supporting the channel, supporting me. So thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, Evil Connor. That's just so amazing. Thank you again. He said, well, I do clog the chat. I need to pay my taxes. You don't clog the chat. I appreciate your comments. I do. So I thank you for being here. Mitchell says Civil War would be at the bottom for me too. Yeah, I agree. Kirsten Dunst. Thank you. That's her name. Yes, Kirsten Dunst. I really like Kirsten Dunst in this movie. I thought she was good. Did anyone else see this movie? Did you like it? Do you think this movie shouldn't be in my top 10? What are your thoughts? Um, Layleen Law says, I couldn't watch it. I wanted to. I love Alex Garland. I love A24. It's too bad now as the real world is. Oh, you thought it was too similar to the real world? See, that was my other complaint for this movie is I thought that it could have gotten harder than it did. Um, I do feel like it should have gotten more political. Like for a movie called Civil War, it was strangely apolitical. Or at least it didn't go as political as it could have. So actually, that was another like minor complaint I had with the film. Anyway, moving on to my number 9 pick. So, some of you guys are going to be upset about this, and some of you are going to be really surprised, but let me explain. Joker 2. Yes, yes, okay. I liked Joker 2 more than most people. I think that's safe to say. I I understood what they were going for. I don't think that's what the audience wanted. I don't think it's what Joker fans wanted. But as someone who didn't really care for the first Joker movie, I came into this movie with a full open mind, just wanting a good film, not really caring too much about like Joker or whatever. So I didn't mind that he was Arthur for most of the movie and that it was all about deconstructing Joker the character. To me, I thought it was interesting seeing how like they were psychoanalyzing like this man who had this split personality. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was interesting. I liked the psychological aspect of the movie. Yeah, I think the musical aspects of the film weren't well utilized and could have been done better. I agree. But I thought Lady Gaga was fantastic in it. I thought Joaquin Phoenix was also fantastic in it. I love the cinematography. I thought it was a gorgeous movie. And again, I loved the courtroom scenes. I thought the courtroom scenes were really riveting and cool. And I think after, you know, seeing Luigi happen, I think this movie is even more relevant than it was when it came out. So, I don't know. I appreciated this movie, and I still think that this movie will be looked at again in the future and be reevaluated. I really think this movie will be reevaluated. This will be one of those movies that are like, wow, I can't believe people hated this movie back then. Or at least that's what I hope so, because I don't think this movie deserved the hate that it got. But I know I can already see Nick Just. I see those emojis. I see those emojis. I know a number of you are disagreeing in the comments. I can see them. But I liked the movie. I did. I can't lie. I liked the movie. Yes, Joker 2 did get roasted pretty badly at the Golden Globes. I felt kind of bad. I was like, the movie's already down. Why do you have to kick it? Yeah, astronomy, I kind of have to agree with you. As much as I love musicals, I think, yeah, it probably should not have been a musical. I agree. Um, Vincent says, at least it's better than Madam Web, Craven the Hunter, and Venom 3. Come on, guys, it's a lot better than those. It's not in that pile. Come on. It is not in that pile. It is definitely better than Venom 3. Like, come on. Anyway. Moving on, I know this one was very controversial. You don't understand my opinion, Nick? Well, go back and watch my Joker 2 review. I think I explained it well there. Alright, number 8. This might surprise some of you. The Substance! I did like The Substance. I don't think I actually did a solo review. I saw it kind of late after the fact. But I liked The Substance. If you haven't seen The Substance, it's very gross. So just a word of warning. Lots of body horror, lots of gross, like just body stuff happening. So if you're very squeamish about that sort of thing, be warned. Be warned. But I thought the story was really interesting. I thought how they shot it was really cool. I thought it was very like visually unique and interesting, which you guys know always appeals to me. I thought Demi Moore was actually great, but I also really liked Margaret Qualley. I thought she was fantastic at it. I think the story is clever. The script is really well set up. It's definitely a memorable film, and I think this is one of those few films that people will remember in the future. This isn't one of those awards films that people talk about for like a couple of months and then forget about. I think people will still bring up this film for years. I think this is this is one of those movies that will like actually stick around in relevancy. So yeah, I like this movie. Did anyone see The Substance? What did you think about it? I see a lot of Substance fans in my chat. Um, Astronomy says, happy for what it is doing for horror, but I don't think I'll ever see it. Is it because of the squeamish element? Because that's really the only reason why I would say you can't really see this movie. Georgie says, you think this movie should win an Oscar? Well, I think Demi Moore's going to win the Oscar. I think that's the Oscar it's going to win. I haven't spoiled anything for The Substance, so you can still watch it, trust me. Evil Connor says, you haven't seen it, but the hype has you so intrigued. Yeah, that's why I had to watch it. Like, I was tired of seeing all of the memes and not understanding them. So I was like, I feel like I gotta watch this movie. So I watched it, and I now I see why it has a lot of people talking about it. It's actually quite good. Oh, Georgie, you want Best Picture. I don't think it's getting Best Picture, but I think it's definitely getting Best Actress, for sure. Remembered in a bad way. Miss Player, you didn't like this movie? Aw, I'm sorry. I liked this movie. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. So the next one is another movie I didn't do a review for, but I ended up seeing later, and I really liked it. But Trap. Some people don't like this movie, so I've seen a lot of people make fun of it online, but I really liked Trap, okay? I don't always love M. Night Shyamalan movies. I think his movies are extremely hit and miss. I won't, I'll never get old of talking about Old, because that movie was, okay, two of my most memorable movie-going experiences belong to seeing M. Night Shyamalan movies. And I would say Trap was a memorable experience just from the, like, last year alone, right? Because his movies are so crazy, so, like, twisty, so just shocking that you can't do anything but sit in your chair in the theater and just go, what? And I feel like a lot of times those twists don't work out, and like the movie is not that great. But I feel like for Trap, this was one where I liked it. This is one where I thought the twists actually worked. I liked where the story went. I had no idea where it was going to go at any point, which is usual for his movies. I thought the guy who played the dad, the I won't spoil it, but the dad, oh my gosh, he was so good. He was such a good actor. I really liked him in this movie. I thought this was a strong film overall. I don't know. I'm not going to spoil what happens in this movie, but if you just want like a fun movie to watch at night that will keep you engaged because you're just not going to know what the heck is going on or like what's going to happen, I highly recommend watching Trap. It's actually a really fun watch. Oh, that super says, why did it continue once they left the concert? I liked all the stuff that happened after the concert. I know for a lot of people, that's when the movie fell apart, but I liked that whole part. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, Astronomy says this is the most exciting M. Night movie in a while. I agree. It's definitely memorable. Potato Girl thinks there was too much concert. I don't know. Although you will see there is another concert movie on this list. I kind of feel like the fake pop girls last year were making like genuinely good music, and I was very surprised. Yeah, Josh Hartnett, he was really good in this movie. But anyway, moving on to the next one. And it is, you guys probably won't be so surprised this is on my list, but Alien Romulus. Alien Romulus. Of course, I loved Alien Romulus. If you guys read or watched my review, you know that I loved this movie. I thought it was super suspenseful. It was directed well. The cinematography was gorgeous. It had some of the best visual effects in any movie I've seen all year. I thought the characters were actually interesting enough that I'm curious enough to want to know what happens to them once the movie is over. Like, I loved that android character, Andy. I thought he was super cool. Probably one of my favorite new characters that I got introduced to last year. Really, really cool character. Um, Loved this movie more than I thought it would because I've never cared about the Aliens franchise before, but this is the first one that made me actually get into it. So I loved this movie. I thought it was really good. Did any of you actually end up seeing Alien Romulus? I know I've talked about it a lot. I've recommended it a lot, but did any of you guys actually end up seeing the movie? Um, Okay, Josh says it was bonkers. I know this is another movie where people, or at least some people, didn't like the ending. But I kind of like the ending, even though I do think like the last. I liked the ending up until like maybe the last 5 minutes when that big. I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but there's a new monster that gets introduced, and I feel like from there to the end, that was probably unnecessary. But up until that point, I thought the movie was very, very good. Like, very, very strong. Okay, so New Big John only skimmed it on streaming. Okay. Valerie, you saw it because of me. It was very good. Oh, so you liked it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Astronomy calls it a phenomenal film. Okay. Calexa says it's on your watch list. Camille liked it. You said it was great. Oh, Georgie likes that monster part. Okay. Yeah, I think it's definitely, some people really liked it, but some people really didn't like it. I think it just depends on, I guess, how you feel about horror and monsters, but I'd say like 95% of the movie's really, really good. So yeah, that's why it's on my list. Moving on to the next movie. Now, this movie, you're not going to be surprised is on my list, but you're probably going to be surprised at how low down on my list it is. So, number 5, Dune Part 2. Yes, I loved me some Dune Part 2. Love, 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 love Dune. You guys know I'm a huge fan of this franchise, even though I've come around to now accepting that I actually think I like the first Dune more than the second Dune. Just because I felt like the first Dune had more like a cool like sense of foreboding and eeriness that the second one just didn't have. But still, Dune 2 is a very good movie. It's a very good movie, very like technically well made. The astronomy, fantastic. The acting, fantastic. I love how real it was. I love how practical a lot of it was. Even though I know there was some CGI, I think the blend of practical with CGI was handled really well. I complain about how a lot of movies look visually these days, but this is one movie where it just looked stunning. No complaints here about this movie visually at all. Just really, really strong work overall. The reason why it's number 5, which is kind of low on my list, I know. Some of you I could see in my chat are shocked. Because there were just other movies last year that I actually liked even more. If I had to say what this movie was missing, and I think this could probably be applied to like almost all Denis Villeneuve movies, is just a bit of warmth. Like, you know how a common critique that Christopher Nolan gets is that his movies lack warmth? Well, I feel like Denis has that problem, but like it's even worse. Like I feel like his movies are even colder than Christopher Nolan. And I feel like that's why he's not enjoying the kind of same like financial success that Christopher Nolan has. Is because he hasn't been able to create that kind of movie that I think can engage the casual moviegoer. Like he makes very like esoteric, very precise, technically made movies. And I feel like that has its place, but that isn't going to appeal to everyone. And I feel like there's like almost an element to his films, including this one, where it's almost too clean. You know what I mean? It's almost too perfect in some areas that I feel like it feels a bit cold. So that's just my critique on the film. I still love it. I still think it's great. It's one of the best movies of the year. I do think it deserves more awards attention than it's been getting. But it's also not like in my top 4. So, yeah. Are you guys surprised by this? What do you think? Tanya's shocked. Will French is shocked. Oh, some duck here, you said you were shook. You were astounded by it. Okay. Denisha, I did like the Austin Butler character. I thought he was cool. I think he was one of the best parts of the movie, actually. Josh says, I thought Dune Part 2 was better than the first movie, especially the action scenes. Yes, Dune Part 2 did have more action sequences. That's true. But what I liked about the first Dune movie wasn't the action. It was actually the tone and mood and the storytelling. That's what I liked about it so much. And I feel like that aspect actually took less priority in the second movie in favor of the action sequences, and that's why I kind of liked it a little less. Okay, Joy says everyone loves this film, but you can't get into it. Janisha says Dune 2 reminds you of a hyper-realistic video game. I can see that. But anyway, still like the movie, but yes, it's my number 5. So moving on to number 4. Now my number 4 might surprise some of y'all, especially because of what I'm putting it over Dune 2. But this just shows you how much I really liked this movie. But number 4, Smile 2. Yes, I know. Some of you, I can already see it now, are in my chat like, girl, what? Are you for real? But if you've seen Smile 2, and you've seen Naomi Scott's performance in this movie, and you can see how horribly she's being snubbed for awards right now, I truly believe this woman deserves an Oscar nom, or at least a Golden Globe nom. The fact that she's getting 0 awards attention is crazy to me. I thought she was phenomenal in this movie. I actually think Naomi Scott is better in Smile 2 than Demi Moore is in The Substance. Yeah, I said it. That's how good I think she's in this. But she doesn't have the ages of narrative that Demi Moore has, so she's not, getting the attention I think she deserves. But she was so good in it. And I loved how this film, made you constantly guess what was going on, what was real, what was not real, to the point where, by the last act, I kind of gave up on figuring out what was real, and I thought that was really cool. The way that it made the character lose her mind, right? And, how it kind of put you, the audience, in the middle of, her mental breakdown. And, you, the audience, kind of feel like you're losing your mind because you start losing track of what's real. And I just thought it was very well done. And I thought the ending was so cool and creepy and just gnarly that I was just like, I don't know. This is a movie that has stayed with me since I've seen it. I saw this movie now a couple of months ago. But I swear every now and then, I'll think about this movie. And that's how I know I really liked it when, I'm still thinking about it months later. It's not I saw it and I forgot. This movie stuck with me. That's how much, I thought her performance worked, and that's how much I loved the story. I really, really liked Smile 2 a lot. I know some of you are like, what? How? What? I'm so surprised. But honestly, if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. It's really good. No, you don't need to see Smile 1. I haven't even seen Smile 1. But Smile 2 is really, really good. Georgie agrees it's one of the best performances of the year. I agree. Josh said Smile 2 had the best opening and ending scene to a horror sequel in a while. Yeah, I agree. The ending sequence in Smile 2, I think, beats the ending sequence in The Substance. I really do. It's that good. Also, Sky Riley is an amazing fictional pop star. I have actually listened to some of her pop songs on Spotify. Because, her music's actually pretty good. Yes, and this is also Princess Jasmine. So this actress has amazing range. She's a really good actress. Okay, Nick just agrees with me on this one. Yay, I'm glad that you agree with me. That's great. Evil Connor, you haven't seen it yet? Oh, I think this movie would be right up your alley, Evil Connor. Like, I feel like I understand your movie tastes, and I feel like you would really like this movie. You should definitely watch this. This is really good. Um, Josh says you were drinking as much water as Sky Riley after watching Smile 2. You're funny. Um, Valerie says, no, you are right. Smile 2 was in my mind rent free after I saw it for like a month because of Naomi's acting. Right? Like, she just makes like some really strong choices, like with her facial expressions that are just so haunting in this movie. Like, you can't get it out of your head. Really, really great performance. Really, really strong script. I was very impressed with the film, actually. That's why it's at number 4. All right, moving to number 3. I think you guys should probably guess my number 3, right? Or at least my top 3, right? So number 3, The Wild Robot. Yes, love, 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 love The Wild Robot. Loved it a lot, loved it down. Okay? I think this movie has so much heart. I think it's so sincere in a sea of like very really narcissistic and like nihilistic movies. I like how this one was so optimistic and hopeful and had like really positive morals to teach to kids who might watch the movie. And I just love how like it was so human even though it was about a robot. I think this movie just has like one of the biggest like hearts that I've seen a movie have in a long time, and that's why I think it's stuck with me. To me, The Wild Robot was like old school Pixar. Like the kind of movie that Pixar would have made in like the 2000s. You know? Like it was that kind of quality for me. So really, really strong film. If you haven't seen The Wild Robot, I highly recommend it. Great, great movie. Fake Mustache, you said you almost cried? I did cry. I did almost. I was crying like in the beginning and the end. Oh, man, this movie, it really gets you. Yes, Aaron, go watch Smile 2. I'm seeing a lot of people say this movie made them cry. Yeah, Josh, it made you emotional. Lupita, her voice acting in this was also amazing. Very, very strong voice acting. Miss Player says Pixar made one. It's called WALL-E. That's true. I still think WALL-E is better. WALL-E's like one of my favorite movies of all time. However, like I would say this movie is like this could have came out between like Finding Nemo and like the Cars, you know? Like I feel like it belongs in that echelon, you know, in that tier. It's really, really good. Like, I think this is better than Cars, clearly. It's about on par with something like Finding Nemo. That's what I would put it in. But yes, really, really good. Good movie. So, number 2, you guys should know, this is no surprise. Inside Out 2. Love Inside Out 2. Thought it was fantastic. Thought it was great. Obviously, I relate to anxiety so freaking much. The whole anxiety attack sequence at the end where they show what an anxiety attack looks like inside of Riley's mind, I thought was really clever and inventive and cool. I love just how we saw how Riley's mind works. We got to see more of the emotions. This movie just worked for me on every level. Really, really liked this movie a lot. I can't say enough good things. I feel like I've seen this movie's praises enough. You guys know how I feel about it. Just really, really strong movie. Also really funny movie. Thought it was hilarious. Yes, my second favorite movie of the year, Inside Out 2. Would have been number 1 if it weren't for you know what. So, yeah, really good movie. Will Friend says, cried a lot in this movie. My second favorite movie as well. Yes. Ashley says, Inside Out 2 was amazing. I cried at the end and I related to the movie so much. Yes, same. I feel like most people could relate to this movie, which is why it made $1.7 billion. That still astounds me that it made that much money. Like, this wasn't just a hit. This was like a massive gargantuan success. Rewatchable. It is rewatchable. In fact, I think I would rewatch this. I saw it twice in theaters, so I did rewatch it. Um, oh, Natanya, this was your movie of the year? That's cool. Um, the bad thing that I was talking about with this movie, Inside Out 2? I don't really remember what I said was bad about this movie. Maybe it could have been a little longer. I don't know, but I really liked this movie. Like, I didn't have much like negative to say about it. Beyonce said it was the best movie of the year. Did she really say that? That's crazy. Well, let's get to number one. You guys all know what my number one is. Like, you're not gonna be surprised here. So yes, number one is Wicked. Loved, 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 loved Wicked. I loved it so much. I thought Wicked was everything I could have dreamed as someone who's been a Wicked fan since she was like 12 years old, and I have been a Wicked fan since I was 12 years old. Um, like the fact that so many theater kids are happy with how this movie turned out should show you how faithful the adaptation was from the show. And how like I think having Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo there, who are fans of the show, there to like make sure that they only got the movie fans would like. I think that was so important to the success of this movie. I thought the music was really good. I actually liked the changes. They made changes to Defying Gravity, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. Not even just like favorite Broadway songs, just like generally one of my favorite songs of all time. Know every word of that song by heart, right? They made changes to that song that I think actually made the song even better. That's incredible. They made a song that was already one of my all-time favorite songs and made it better. How did they do that? Like the part where Cynthia starts going like unlimited. Like that part, gorgeous. Love it. I love the extra instrumentals at the end too. Beautiful. Like really, really well done. A theater couldn't be happier. Just really, really great stuff. Just no, I can't say enough good things, but I know you guys aren't surprised. What did you guys think about Wicked? Josh says Wicked was worth the long wait. It was such a good experience watching opening night with a packed crowd. Yes, my crowd loved the movie, loved it. Nick just says, as someone who did not see the show or really know much about it, it has made me a huge fan. I'm glad. I've seen that this movie has made a lot of people who weren't previously interested in musical theater, and that just makes me so happy. Maybe this movie is like the antithesis to Cats, where I think Cats killed off a lot of people's interest in musicals. I think Wicked is like revitalizing some interest, so that's good. Will says this is the best movie. Ashley says it was so good. No, Denisha, Mufasa was not number one. It was not. Wonka was the previous year. That was not 2024. But yeah, as you guys know, I loved Wicked. I don't think this being my number one was surprising. As Denisha says, of course. Jessica says, obviously. Okay. But yeah, anyway, that's my top 10. I do have some, I guess, I don't really have that many, like, honorary mentions, to be honest. I feel like if it's not on this list, then I either thought the movie was just okay or just straight up didn't like it. But yeah, there were some movies I never got around to seeing. Like, I never got around to seeing Challengers, and I kept meaning to, and I didn't see it. So I bet Challengers probably would have been on this list. A lot of the awards films I just haven't seen either, so there's that as well. But yeah, overall, that's my list. I'm very happy with my list. What would be your number one movies of the year? I'm just curious. If you could, like, just mention one movie that is your favorite movie of 2024, what would it be? Joy says, did I miss A Quiet Place Day One? No, I did see A Quiet Place Day One, but I would put that movie under, it was okay. I don't think it was as good as the previous Quiet Place movies, but I don't think it was bad. It was just kind of a letdown, in my opinion. Okay, some duck here is saying Flow. I really need to see Flow. I haven't seen that either. So Yeah, Flo is another one that I have on my list. Vincent, your number one is the Wild Robot. I'm seeing a couple people say Sonic. Will, Wicked, or Whitebird? Okay. Georgie likes The Substance. Nate says Wicked. Jessica says Sonic. Agatha's a show, Arvin. Nick says Wicked or Wild Robot. Josh says A Quiet Place Day 1, Transformers 1, Challengers, Beetlejuice, and Deadpool and Wolverine and Longlegs were also my favorites. I liked some of those movies. I will admit I didn't like Deadpool and Wolverine as much as I wish I had. It didn't do it for me, I have to say. I'm seeing not a lot of Dune love. See, this is the thing. Dune is so technically well made, but it just does not interest most people. Very interesting. But anyway, that's the show for today. Thank you all for being here. Deeply appreciate you guys going over this list with me. In the comments, comment your top 10 list for 2024 as well. I'll read them. I'm curious to see what movies you guys liked. But yeah, thank you for being here. I'll be here hopefully next Sunday. We'll see. At full disclosure, I've joined another show, or I've got to be at another show. So I've just started rehearsals soon, so that's why I usually have rehearsals on Sundays. So I'll let you guys know what time the next show will be, but make sure you follow me on Twitter so you're always updated on when I'm going to post, and you follow the community tab because I also post on there. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. You guys are always great, and I'll see you next